This last video comes to us from LiussDBD, which is somebody we watched on the channel before. Very, very, very in-depth content creator. Goes way in depth with their analysis, which is very, very good. So when there is a very, very good content creator, make sure you hit that link that just showed up in the Twitch chat above my head. If you're in the YouTube in the future, it'll be down in the description below. Today's subject is ranking every licensed chapter and explaining behaviors relationships with these chapters. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it.
Freddy and Quentin are dead last and aren't ever getting any skins.
Except now there's a weird bug that if you buy skins for Chucky, they show up on Quentin and Freddy. Like you go in the store and it says 2 out of 2, and it's like, why is that a thing?
But before we get into the specifics of why that is, let's get something out of the way. It's important to remember that copyright law is tricky and complicated. So for this list, where I'll rank every single licensed chapter based on how close their relationship with behavior is, I'll also be breaking down what we know about that relationship and how likely we are to get more content out of it.
Stranger Things has got to be bottom. They lost it.
It's worth mentioning that no one besides behavior and the respective license holder know the exact details of their agreement. There's no way to know exactly what goes on behind the scenes, so the best we could do is speculate.
I don't want an RE chapter 3.
Licensing agreements typically go and what's been said publicly by both parties. And even then, there's plenty of room for inconsistencies. For example, one company.
I want to be a fly on the wall of all the lost licenses. I want that. If I would love to have like the secret intel on all the licenses we got close to having and fell through. I think that would be a very spicy information, like bit of information to have. It's like, oh, we actually did almost have Candyman? Really? Oh, you know, like I would love to have that info. That'd be so sick.
Company might be okay with both behavior's initial price offer and the revenue split they'll both get from it. They might even throw in more characters for skins to sweeten the deal because they genuinely want to make the collaboration happen. While another company might want more money right off the bat and a bigger split share with a further away expiration date to secure the deal for longer. They're also more guarded and concerned over protecting their brand image, so they'll only offer the essentials of their characters with no modifications at all. That theoretically could be what happened with Nightmare on Elm Street. Based on the 2010 film instead of the original, this chapter brings with it, alongside the Springwood map, Freddy Krueger and Quentin Smith, a character made solely for the reboot film.
But he's like the best character in that movie, because the remake version of Nancy Thompson is kind of like very stiff and wooden. She is not a very like great portrayal of Nancy Thompson. So Quentin is like actually a character and fleshed out and way more interesting.
Them comes a whopping 0 additional skins, with the exception of the bloody prestige alternatives that every character gets. Aside from them having the least amount of cosmetics in the game, Quentin also kind of looked a little funky at the start.
Yeah.
So much so that his actor, Kyle Gallner, tweeted about it. This caused game lead Matthew Cote to reach out to try to secure likeness rights. After that, Quentin's in-game model got a noticeable visual upgrade. That was actually nice, but many years later, both characters have still not gotten any form of customization. I'm sure that behavior would love to give them more, but it's unfortunate.
And here's the problem too, is like, even if they like, you know, what we're talking about where we get more Nightmare on Elm Street like content, it's probably going to go more the route of like the OG, which means that Quentin's gonna get left behind because he's from the remake.
Just not up to them. Warner Brother and New Line Cinema only allowed them to use the remake with no changes. Eventually, the Wes Craven estate won back the US rights to the franchise, while New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers retained the international rights. Behavior is a Canadian company, so that unfortunately could fall under their jurisdiction. That would make sense considering that
which sucks, because that means that that's so much farther out of the way.
Later, there's still no in-game additions to these characters since this news. However, the deal with behavior could have just been transferred over and honored by the Wes Craven estate until it expires, leaving it up to them to renew it, but there's just no way of knowing for sure. That's really unfortunate because fans want more. In fact, getting the original Freddy, Robert Englund, to reprise his role with full-on voice acting is a dream.
That'd be so good.
Considering it's been years since the rights reverted and there hasn't been any solid plans for a continuation of the franchise, even with the prospect of Englund returning, the chances of new content in Dead by Daylight is incredibly low. The idea of the original Freddy, alongside any skins for that matter, in the immediate future will unfortunately just remain a dream for now. Up next, but not
Did
by
he step down from playing Freddy, or is he still like down to voice act? Because I can understand him being too old to like play the character physically, but homie could voice act. Homie could voice act.
that much really, is Hellraiser. While we didn't get a survivor for this one,
This
we
is
did
disgusting.
get Pinhead alongside his original actor, Doug Bradley, doing
Not
voiceover
initially.
work for him.
Not initially. We had an impersonator doing Pinhead, and then Doug Bradley was like, "What the f guys? That's me. I am Pinhead. Get me in there." And Behavior's like, "Oh, okay." like initially, we did not have Doug Bradley. Doug Bradley was like, "Dude, what the heck?"
Also released with two pretty cool skins, one of them being a different character with special sounds. Although we didn't get a map, there was allegedly one in the works for the chapter, but it was scrapped for being too sexual. But even without that map, this could have been a really strong chapter moving forward if only its legacy wasn't tainted by its NFT launch. There's a good chance that the NFT time—
Have you ever asked me like when was the closest time I ever actually got close to quitting DBD? It was this stuff. And I think if it weren't for the fact that this was the only way, so if you don't know the backstory, this was like Kote's dream license. This is who Kote always wanted in the game. The fact that this was the only way you could secure the deal. And then it was mostly the company pushing the NFTs, and Behavior did not at all push the NFTs. It was just kind of like part of the agreement that they could use Behavior's models for the NFTs. Like, that is the only thing that kept me in the game. Because if Behavior actually started shoveling this stuff, like, I would have been out. The only chapter I have not purchased, like, I have bought every single chapter of Dead by Daylight, including Chucky on day of recording. The only chapter that I, cheesed the system and used the Oryx cells that you get from like the Rift and stuff to buy, was Michaela, which was the Hour of the Witch, which was what came immediately after this. I didn't spend money on DBD for like 2 months, and I was heavily considering leaving the game. So, yeah, this was a doozy.
tie-in that caused players to speak out in outrage was a part of Behavior's licensing deal with Park Avenue Entertainment, who held the Hellraiser rights at the time, as is implied in their tweet explaining that the license holders can use the models for whatever they want, as it's their right to do so since it's their characters. This is why it's unlikely we'll see any more skins soon. However, there is a best case scenario here. Clive Barker, the writer and director of the original Hellraiser movie, actually got the US franchise rights back only a few months.
Can you explain NFTs? Essentially, NFTs were kind of a scam, just to put it very frankly, of prints of pictures that exist on the internet, images, art, etc., that you can use for like your avatar and stuff like that. But there were prints, there were variations of these pictures that were not different in any way. By the way, they were not different in any way, but they were prints that you could own different versions of the. And I use the air quotes the strongest I possibly could, different versions of an NFT. And it was essentially like this kind of like very shady market of like buying and owning nothing that was deeply layered and embedded in cryptocurrency, which has been proven time and time again to be like awful for the environment, awful morally. Like, it's a whole paper trail. It is a nasty thing. It is. I can't explain it to the fullest extent of something that you would truly understand, and I know that, so I'm telling you what I know up front. It's definitely something you should look into and do research on your own. Thankfully, the fad has kind of died down, so it's not something you particularly need to worry about anymore. But you should still do your own research. It's just kind of like seeing what was going on with it.
Months after this DLC release. Theoretically, it is possible, given the right circumstances, when the license needs to be renewed, it'll be renewed through Clive Barker. Of course, that's speculative, but if that's the case, and he can ensure that they won't be used for NFTs or anything like that, there's a chance we could see them rekindle this partnership with a chance for more content from the franchise.
Oh, I would love
By the
some
way,
of the
it'd be
reboot stuff.
really cool if you follow me on Twitch. I stream every single Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. CT, so...
hold on. It's just Lius. Okay. There we go. There you go. There you go. Support the... Yeah, look at you guys. Thank you. Look at that. Thank you. I appreciate you guys doing that. I appreciate you guys for doing that. Thank you for hitting that follow button. Support the homies. Support the homies. There are like so many follows. Get helped on forehead. Oh, he's getting absolutely supported on. Okay, hold on. Okay.
Get one bit. Come on. Up. Come on. Whoa, what is going on? Did I miss something? Did I miss something here? Hello, my friend. We're not follow bots. We promise. Get helped on. No way. What is going on right now? We're all part of a live? Oh my gosh. Who is it? Who's responsible for this? I want to shout them out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Welcome in, everybody. I really wish you guys would have come in like 10 minutes ago. We had a bug where Tiffany was in first person. It was something, I gotta say. Let's get you up here. Mr. Headache? No way! Oh my god. Are you here?
You guys are wholesome. You guys are great. I appreciate y'all so much.
I don't know if I have a mod here. I don't know if I have a mod here that could give you a shout out, but I'll do it in a second. Thank you so much.
You guys are so great. I love you guys so much. You're wonderful. Today? Literally wonderful. Thank you guys. I very much appreciate it.
I thank you so much, Mr. Headache, for sharing your community. Follower goal met to. Are we at 1K?
Oh, but he hit his 1K.
This is amazing. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. 1K.
He hit his 1K followers.
For about 3 years. Last 2 years is when I first started taking it really seriously. Oh man, 1K. That is crazy. I would have never guessed.
Fuck you guys. Thank you guys so much for doing that.
I really appreciate that. Hope everybody has good food and good water right now. Everybody deserves to have that. If you don't, please do get that as well. Oh my gosh.
Chat, you guys are amazing. Seriously,
I'm not gonna lie. I can't focus on the game.
Oh.
They have no sound?
Oh.
No way.
That's so sweet. You guys are great.
I did not know that.
That's so great. We helped him hit his 1K. That's amazing.
Drama Island intro.
That's absolutely amazing.
I don't know why that's going on. It's just bug night. It's just bug night for us. We're having a few different kind of bugs. Are you here? No, she's not.
Okay. All right. We're going to go finish the video. That is sweet. Thank you so much for doing that, guys. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for making somebody's day and life better. That's I couldn't stream to a better group of people. And I mean that. Like, seriously, you guys are great and amazing. So, thank you.
Chat, or maybe even play DBD with us. Links down in the description. Thanks in advance. See you there. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Especially when you're learning a new character. If you're playing Chucky, yeah, that's going to be
He's gotten a few skins since release, but that's about it. Not much else has been done with him, and so it didn't take much for people to think that he was leaving. When alternative names were added to Bubba's perks in an early 2023...
Dude, this was so scary, because like TCM was on the way. TCM was on the way, and then all these got changed to generic. It was terrifying. That's terrifying. Like, we thought it was going away. Thankfully it didn't. But like, it was scary. It was scary for a while. You said you're the first person to react to his vids. Oh. I gotta hang out in that homie streams. I mean, if we stream at the same time, it's gonna be kind of hard. But like, I definitely want to hang out in the streams. They seem so wholesome and great. That's amazing. That's so great.
PTB, there was a lot of speculation that the licensing was expiring and he'd meet the same fate as Stranger Things did at the time. This would fall in line with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that was set to release later in the year. Lots of people understandably thought that maybe the right holders, Vortex Inc. didn't want Bubba in a competitor's game when he had his own coming out. Although all of this turned out to not be true, with Behavior shooting down the rumor with a tweet. So he's here to stay, at least for now. But does that mean we could expect more Bubba cosmetics? I personally wouldn't hold my breath for that, considering it's been more than 2 years since he got his last one, unfortunately. Moving on, Left 4 Dead is in a really unique spot.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Valve is very friendly with people that want to use their IPs. Black Mesa is a Half-Life remake started by an indie studio. Along the way, though, they got Valve's blessings for the project to be sold commercially, and even considers it to be a full-on Half-Life franchise game. With all that being said, It's no surprise that the condition for Bill being added into Dead by Daylight is that he had to be a free character. That goes for his cosmetics as well, with the Christmas skin being available right away and his other outfit only being available with Eerie shards. No real money gets involved here on the player's end.
That's such a Chad move.
Really nice of them, but
so Chad.
That's also probably why we're not going to get anything more from Left 4 Dead. I imagine that Valve helped foot a lot of the bill to get the character and those cosmetics created, but that's not profitable for Behavior. Ever since that initial deal with Valve was struck, Behavior hasn't made any money from commercial sales regarding Bill. So unless Valve wants to pay for something else to be made, we're probably not going to see Behavior go out of the way to make something that's not going to bring them any revenue. Up next is cool. Ash vs. Evil Dead, which also only has a single survivor in Ash Williams, but he has various skins from the show available. Also, his original actor, Bruce Campbell, does the lobby voice lines for him. In terms of the Evil Dead rights, from what I've seen, they're all...
Evil Dead rights are all over the place. They are so bad. So bad. Like, they are like one person owns Evil Dead, one person owns Evil Dead 2, and like another owns Army of Darkness. It's like, it's literally all over the place. It is a mess. Absolute mess. And unlike, you know, modern horror movies, like, you know, Friday the 13th and, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street were mentioned, where like it's kind of like more of a modern thing. Evil Dead has always had licensing issues since the beginning. That's why in Evil Dead 2, they essentially like remake part of Evil Dead 1 because they didn't have the rights to their own movie. So they had to like redo part of Evil Dead 1 to have it in Evil Dead 2 to explain how we got to this point. It is just... it is interesting.
Over the place.
Definitely worth the deep dive if you want to watch YouTube videos or something about it.
That could be a reason why we only have Ash from the TV series. For this version, it seems that his right holders are, alongside the Starz TV network, Bruce Campbell, director Sam Raimi, and producer Rob Tapert. They all love the character of Ash Williams, and it shows with how many different skins they've allowed fans to use. But unfortunately, since most of his skins are from a now cancelled TV series, it doesn't seem likely that we'll get more unless they're original skins, or less likely, they could get the rights to film Ash. Halloween was DBD's first ever licensed chapter.
This upsets me that this didn't get much.
It came out mere months after the game was released. That's insane for an indie game to pull out such iconic characters so early on. That indicates that 1, Behavior already had strong connections from the start, and 2, the Halloween license holder, Trancast International Films, had a tremendous amount of trust in Behavior to do right by their characters. We got Myers and Laurie, with both characters getting new stuff in the Haddonfield Nights collection years later in 2019. Although they couldn't get the likeness rights for Laurie's actress, Jamie Lee Curtis, they instead used her appearance from the Halloween comics. We also got the Haddonfield map, and there was actually a second map that was in development.
Yeah, by the way, we pointed this out in a different video, a different React video where they were showing this trailer. If you weren't here for that night, in the trailer, Laurie's eye is like frantically twitching, and I never noticed it until we started doing the React series. Take a look.
2, the Halloween license
blink and you miss it.
Trancast International Films had a tremendous amount of trust.
Wait till the actual trailer plays.
Do right by their characters. We got Myers and Laurie, with both characters getting...
Like, why is that a thing? And it's in their official trailer for the actual, like, official trailer for the actual chapter. Like, it is so interesting.
Behavior to do right by
so interesting. I wonder if anybody noticed at the time.
And Laurie, with both characters getting new stuff in the Haddonfield Nights collection years later in 2019. Although they couldn't get the likeness rights for Laurie's actress, Jamie Lee Curtis, they instead used her appearance from the Halloween comics. We also got the Haddonfield map, and there was actually a second map that was in development during patch 1.3.1, but it was never released. As for future content, fans have wanted the 2018 version of these characters for a while now. Behavior currently only has the rights to the first film. While Trancast did produce those newer films, so did Blum.
That's why. I never knew this. I always wondered why like they were making Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and they never like put out new skins. I didn't know they only made the deal through the original film's rights holders and not Blumhouse. Oh. Learn today. Every day is a school day.
Blumhouse Productions. Behavior would need them to also agree to use those versions.
Yeah,
Blumhouse is coincidentally producing the DBD movies, so their relationship is already pretty strong. However, nothing new has been added since 2019, so more content isn't likely if it's Trancast that has the final say on that. On to Saw. On top of the Gideon meat plant map, we got Amanda Young as Pig alongside Detective Tapp, both of which have gotten multiple skins since their release. There was even, for the first time ever, a whole tome dedicated to a franchise. That included voiceover work from the original voice of Jigsaw, Tobin Bell, for a trailer. It sure seems that Lionsgate
movie?
and
Yep, there's gonna be
Behavior
DVD
are
movie.
close. There was even speculation recently about the 30th chapter being Saw related, because
This was
Behavior
stupid too.
tweeted out some cryptic things about Saw a few days before the announcement. But that was probably to jump
This
on
is probably the most wrong anybody has ever been about a chapter release. Like, it was Chucky, and we didn't know it was Chucky until like the day before, because they posted an image of like him doing the grabbing the knife with the stool and stuff. We were like, it's Predator, it's FNAF, and then some people were like, it's Saw, and it was like, we were the most, it was the most wrong we could have ever been about a chapter prediction. Like, the whole community was just collectively incorrect.
Saw trend since the newest movie had released around that time. But still, due to how willing Lionsgate has been to work with Behavior, I'm sure we could expect more stuff from them. If I had made this video a month ago, Stranger Things would have been last on this list, but we are so back! With this chapter, we got a whole map, killer, and 2 survivors that have the likeness of their actors. Behavior and Netflix were on such good terms that Netflix actually gave them the 3D demo model they used for the show to make it easier for Behavior
I didn't know
to
that. That's
model
cool.
him. Aside
That's really
from
cool.
the characters getting a bunch of cool looking skins, one of them being a skin that turns them into Jonathan Byers, a different Stranger Things character, Demo has cosmetics that are completely new and unique to the game. Everything was good up until it wasn't. That's when Netflix chose to do a 180 and not renew the license.
Iris said no.
Probably because they wanted to focus on their own gaming platform with their own properties. They wanted exclusivity. The map was put offline, and the characters and their skins were no longer able to be
Hopper skin? I would
purchased.
die for
Fans
Hopper
were
skin.
heartbroken to
Die
see
for
these
Hopper skin.
characters go, and newer players
He's one of my favorite
like
characters in the
myself
show.
at the time didn't really get a chance to do more with them. Fortunately, after much anticipation, it was announced on the recent Stranger Things Day that the chapter is effective immediately back in Dead by Daylight. During this, both the DBD and Stranger Things Twitter accounts expressed joy in working together again. Players have long awaited this return, and many are hopeful that we'll one day get a second Stranger Things chapter, considering that so much has happened in the show since
I'm watching season 4.
It was the fans that helped make this return. By constantly expressing their love and support for the franchise, the chances of more cosmetics and maybe even another chapter is decently high. Yes, Netflix leaving put a huge strain on their relationship with Behavior. This would be a lot higher on this list if it weren't for that. They still have a way to go to fully repair that relationship, and more content would be the way to go for that. So just keep an eye out for that blighted demo skin.
Oh, that'd be so sick! It'd be so cool.
Moving on to a very unique case in Nicolas Cage, we have him as a survivor. Not him in a role, but rather just him. He's the license himself.
It's so silly. It's so weird.
I remember seeing the leak for this, and I, much like everyone else, thought it was a high quality fake. But here we are. In the lore, he was playing Talbot Grimes, aka Blight, and reenacting the same scenario where he got taken by the entity. Cage voices himself and is the first survivor to have voice lines in the middle of a match, with a whopping 185 lines of dialogue. We also have a few decent
I agree, Fire. It's still very strange.
2 sets being in a rift soon
it's very
after
strange.
his release. This
and
is
here's the deal. Like, Nicolas Cage seems like a very nice guy from all intents and purposes that I've ever seen him in interviews and that sort of thing. But it's always going to be an incredible risk to have a real life person in your game, because like if that real life person ends up doing some really terrible things, like that you have him in your game now, so that aftershock is going to travel to you as well. So it can be pretty risky. It can be pretty risky.
Easiest license for Behavior to manage, considering it's just one person that has to sign off on any ideas Behavior might have. So I feel confident
like the Jonah voice actor,
we'll get more from him later on. For Ringu, we got Sadako as Killer and Yoichi Asakawa as Survivor. Behavior couldn't get the likeness rights to the 2 main characters in the first Ringu movie, so they were allowed to use a grown-up Yoichi who was a child in the film. They were also given permission to create completely new lore for Yoichi as well.
Which is cool.
So they made him a scientist that specializes in the ocean because he wanted to find Sadako.
Which is really cool. Like, if you've watched the first film, you understand that like that's a really cool like ending for the character. Well, not ending, but like, that's really cool. That is a sensible place for like the character's like progression to go. Like, I think that's actually a really, really cool idea.
Get a map for them, but there were alleged plans for one that got scrapped along the way. They've gotten a handful of skins since release, with one of them being a blighted Sadako. Spoiler alert for the rest of the video, all of the other
I'm gonna say this. This is just a complete aside that doesn't really seem to affect or matter too much. Is anybody else like that runs into like blighted Sadako just kind of like, is she like when you run into blighted Sadakos, are they just like the most miserable players ever? Is that your experience? It's kind of like Black Veil Nurse, like the Veil Nurses. Like, whenever I see a blighted Sadako, I know I'm in for a bad time. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Yes? Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I'm like, hey, yeah, like White Hair Spirits, like whenever I see one of those, I'm like, oh no. I'm in for pain.
License killers that have this skin are going to be at the top of the list, considering that they let behavior modify them specifically for the game. It's an indication of how friendly.
I forget who said this. I think it was Tess. Why does homie look like a minion? And this skin. Why does homie look like a minion? You can't unsee it. Why does homie look like a minion in this skin? You're never gonna unsee it now. That was cursed info that I did not need in my brain. And I, you know, very, very lore accurate to the Sadako and the cursed VHS tape. Now I have to spread it to you. That looks like a minion, and now you have to suffer too. Now you have to see that every time you look at the skin. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Friendly the two parties are. As a result, I'd expect more skins from this partnership. Probably more so for Yoshi because they have more freedom with him, considering this aged up character only exists here. The Ghostface license is another unique and interesting case. There's no survivor or map. It's just Ghostface.
Yeah, it's just the rights to the mask and nothing else.
Behavior didn't get the rights to the Scream franchise and instead got the rights to the Ghostface mask. Apparently,
which
they
is just
were in
before the
talks
film
to get the first Scream's Ghostface alongside other characters, but it didn't work out. This is probably because they'd have to get and pay
Sydney
for two different licenses, one for the film and one for the mask, as the films also have to get the rights from Fun World, the company behind the masks. Because of that, Behavior had to come up with a completely new original character.
Which I will say, Danny Johnson is a very well written and probably one of the like actual scariest killers in Dead by Daylight. Like in terms of like Danny Johnson is like actually written like a very like plausibly real serial killer. And it's actually kind of unnerving. Like this guy feels like he could exist in real life and not in a good way. Not in a good way.
To don the iconic costume. Because the rights that they got are simpler, they've been able to get lots of different skins and masks for the game, even having a rift focusing on him. Also, of course, there's the blighted skin.
The Nacho Cheese
As a result, it's very safe to assume that we'll get more masks in the future based on how close their relationship seems to be. While that's nice and all, lots of people want Scream characters too. As of now, that's not very likely considering that's a whole different license that they'll have to go after again. But it's not impossible. If there's another movie coming out and they need promo for it and Fun World is okay with it, who knows? We'll just have to cross our fingers, huff that copium, and hope for the best. Silent Hill has brought us the Midwich map alongside Pyramid Head and Cheryl Mason. Cheryl specifically has gotten many skins, with 4 of them turning her into completely different Silent Hill characters. As for Pyramid Head, he notably has a blighted skin as well. Konami is currently developing multiple big Silent Hill games, the most notable ones being a remake and a completely new edition. They'll be releasing in the coming years after a long period of not doing much with their own license.
Thanks, Konami.
Aside from Pachinko
being the worst
machines,
gaming company in
considering
history
that
forever.
Both Behavior and Konami are game developers and understand that fans of their content will pay for it, the chances of us getting more from this franchise is really high, and I just got really depressed thinking about how we could have gotten a Silent Hills and DBD collaboration by now. If
that would have been cool.
Out. I'm gonna need a moment.
Thousands of tears later.
Alien was one of the most demanded licenses of all time. We got a map, a xenomorph, and Ellen Ripley. Even though she does have voice lines, they're not from her original actress, Sigourney Weaver. They also weren't able to get the likeness rights to her either, as the model simply takes inspiration from her appearance. As for skins, both characters got a few cool ones since the skins originate from different films. But extra points are given here for having the sickest looking blighted skin in the entire game.
It is really cool.
With us getting so much at the start, that's a clear sign of a strong partnership, and it indicates that there will be more in store for us later on. At the time of this video, Child's Play is
Hey!
the latest license release. In fact, it's not even out yet while I'm saying this.
It's
but
out now.
Already had
Today.
such a huge
Today
impact
o'clock.
on the community. That says a lot considering there's no map or survivor. It's Chucky, but he's releasing with a Tiffany skin. On top of that, both characters have full-on
also
voice acting
Chucky.
by the original actors. Combined, they have over 300 voice lines.
Why did
This
Chucky?
is
That's
also
gonna
the
be really
first
cool.
killer to talk
That's gonna be sick.
constantly throughout the
It's
match
so funny.
based on what's happening. Again, this video is made before his release, but we know he'll also be getting a third skin at launch, and I'm willing to bet
The Stitch
it'll
skin's
be the
really cool.
iconic scarred
It
Chucky
is.
that terrified
kinda want
kid
it. It's
me
very cool.
throughout my childhood. Aside from all that,
Dude, personal story story time with Bran. There was a kid in my neighborhood that like I barely interacted with, because he was like 4 or 5 years younger than the rest of us, so that's like a pretty big age gap. So obviously, as you get older, like if somebody's like, you know, if a kid's like a 5-year-old and you're like a 9 or 10-year-old, like it's not weird to hang out with them really, but like when you're like 14, 15 and you're hanging out with like a 10-year-old, like, you know, you're like, I'm a teenager, I'm too cool. You know, like, so like we kind of like stopped talking. But like his family was obsessed with horror, and his family was one of those, like, you know, you go down the street and every Halloween they were the ones that went super freaking hard on the Halloween like decorations. Like they had like a whole setup and everything. They decorated the inside of their house too. So we would go to this kid's house on like around the Halloween time, and their favorite horror movie as horror fans, or favorite franchise, was the Child's Play franchise. So imagine being like 10 years old and seeing a life-sized Stitch, like this Stitch version of Chucky, just like life-size, and you're like a little kid, right? So you're like not that much taller than this thing. That was scary. I going inside his house was like taking a free like haunted house tour for me as a child, because I'm like, there were just like these very scary dolls that were barely shorter than me, who, you know, based on the movie could have come to life, and you know, it was scary. Very, very scary. Very, very scary. So like that was funny. That family still goes hard on their yards. Like they said, they had the best Halloween like decorations in yard in the entire.
this will also be the shortest killer ever.
this day.
As a result, Behavior had to develop a decent camera system that
Yo,
would
nice,
work
guys. Good
best
shit.
for their small stature. Before this, fans wanted Chucky, but people were concerned that he'd be impossible to implement because
Dude,
of
their
his
way
height.
around this
Just
was
from
so cool.
playing him in the PTB alone, I could tell that Behavior really gave it their all in trying to make him work because they were excited about him too. Similar to the Alien chapter, we're off to a very strong start already. He's rumored to be getting a Christmas sweater, and even then, I still expect more, and I wouldn't be surprised if next year we got a blighted Chucky skin. And finally, at the top, 2 chapters, each with a killer and 2 survivors with lobby voice lines, is Resident Evil. And since their debut, they've gotten a ton of skins, like a crazy amount of skins. That includes a very special William Birkin skin for Blight, with new
really
sounds
cool.
and voice lines. Speaking of voice lines, Albert Wesker has that type of voice work too. As for Nemesis, Capcom gave Behavior the official Nemesis 3D model to help import him into the game. They probably also helped them out in other ways too, considering how close the RPD map was to the original. Although,
Which was not a good thing right away. That ended up not being a positive. That ended up not being actually a positive right away. Fits really well for a survival horror game, but not for a 4v1 sim.
a little too close, am I right?
There you
Also,
go.
both of the killers have a blighted skin,
Which is very
it's
cool.
pretty obvious that Behavior has a similar relationship
favorite skin on
with
both of them.
Capcom like they do with Konami, but times 10. As I briefly touched on earlier, companies that hold the rights to film characters can be very complicated to work with.
Well, they're
And it's
playing the
probably
Resident Evil
often
movie theme in the
Behavior that
background,
has
it's
to
cool.
convince them to work with them. And even when they do agree, they could hold their characters on a short leash and not let Behavior do much with them. But Capcom's a video game company. They know what fans want, and they know that a strong partnership like this works well for everyone, for both companies and fans. It's a win-win-win scenario. So I definitely expect
Now that the
more
video's almost over.
collaborations with them in the future. And this might be me huffing that copium, but if we could get the Resident Evil voice actors to come back for full-on in-game voice acting like Chucky has, please.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
That would be so funny. Leon just making quips every time something happens. like you imagine you're on a gen, just like tinkering with someone else, and they pop the gen, they miss the skill check. Be like, hey, aren't we supposed to be fixing these things? Like, you know how funny that would be? That would be so funny, dude. That'd be great.
Anyway, behavior has fallen in favor with more and more companies over time. This is because they've proven they can take care of others' licenses. That could be why the licenses at the top of this list are fairly new chapters.
There's a trial. I'll let
Their
myself
reach
out.
for collaboration is what makes DBD so unique, and more will definitely be on the way. Who knows what they're working on right now? I'm just really excited to see what they have in store for us. But what do you guys think? Who do you still want to see in DBD? Let me know down below in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one.
For me, it's like I've explained this before. For me, I know it's kind of a sad answer, but I want for nothing. My dream chapter is Alien. I wanted the Xenomorph. Now I'm a Xenomorph main, top 5 in the world in terms of total tail attacks. But I always wanted the Xenomorph. I always wanted the Alien chapter, and now I have it. So literally, they could add literally whatever to the game at this point, and I'm already good. I'm already. Like asking me if I'm hungry right after I ate dinner. I'm like, nah, I'm still good. Nah, I just ate. I'm fine. Like I want for nothing. I'm happy now. So I'm good. I'm good. In terms of things I would like to see, of course, Friday the 13th. It's the most iconic like slasher franchise ever. Of course, we would love to see a Friday the 13th chapter. Stranger Things chapter 2. Now that we're back in, now that they seem to have a good relationship again, I'd be down for another Stranger Things chapter, a la Resident Evil chapter 2. Obviously, we were talking earlier when we were at the actual Stranger Things section of this video, talking about like being able to play as like more characters like Hopper and Joyce and getting more characters. That'd be cool. That'd be great. But other than that, like, I don't really want, like, the only other thing I would want was the first licensed chapter was Halloween, and that's what got me into the game. You know, like, that's the Crow would not work. As much as that's my favorite movie of all time, that would not work because, like, the Crow's an anti-hero. So, like, the Crow would not be going after the survivors. Yeah, the Crow's an anti-hero. Homie has more in common with like the Punisher than like a slasher villain. I know that's kind of the point of why that movie works, is because it's like an inverted horror movie. Instead of the slasher being the bad guy killing innocent people, it's a good guy killing people who deserve it, but in like a slasher style. But like that, it's the reverse. It's proven the entity can manipulate killers. Yeah, but that'd be dog shit. That would actually ruin the integrity of the character. It would. Like, that would actually be terrible. Because, like, the whole appeal of The Crow is that, like, you know, it's a very, like, emotional story with, like, a very, like, you know, it's a morally gray area, but it's a person going through a tremendously difficult journey of, you know, losing the love of their life in a very traumatic way, and kind of, like, through a supernatural force being able to actually get retribution for the people that took that person away. So just, you know, smudging the white eyes over the Crow and going, oh, you know, now you gotta kill teenagers. It's like, I don't know. It'd be like, what would be a good example of this? I don't know, but it kind of defeats the spirit and the nature of the character. It really does. Like, the Crow is not like if you take another example, this the white eye theory with like Spirit. Like the Crow's not a vengeful spirit in the sense of like, oh, well, you know, I'm you know, this very terrible thing happened to me, and now I'm just gonna like freak out on everybody, and then the entity's gonna like, you know, direct my freak out at like people that it wants. Like, it's a very, very like, the motivation for why the Crow kills is very emotional and is like almost the point of the entire film. Not even almost, I would say arguably, like, the motivation for why the homie is, you know, kind of acting like a slasher killer is so integral to the film and why, like, the motivation of the character, that it would no longer be that character if you decided to just slap the white eyes on and be like, okay, well, they're brainwashed now. It would not be the character anymore. Yeah, it's like you could do that with Batman. I think that, yeah, you're right. That's another great example. Like, if you brought Batman in to be a killer, right? Like, it's a fundamental pillar of the character's, like, moral compass that they don't kill. So, like, just being like, okay, well, Batman's just a murderer now. It's like, that's not the character anymore. That doesn't fit anymore. So, I as much as that's my favorite film, and I would love as a chance to, like, my hair just gets stuck on. There's just like a paranormal event. What just happened? Did you guys see that? Something like pulled my hair. Like this strand of hair just like got pulled by something, but there's nothing in front of me. Did we just catch a paranormal event on stream? Let me clip that. What just happened? Something just pulled my hair and there was nothing here. Okay, that's a little unnerving. Chris said you rag. Yeah, I was like, huh? Yeah, if you were gonna do like a killer from, like, you know, Batman, you would have to do the Joker. But you wouldn't put Batman in the game as a killer. You certainly wouldn't put him in as a survivor because he could just take down most of the killers. So, yeah, I would also take Predator, Janvey. That is true. I would also take Predator, but, you know, I'm not like chopping at the bits for it or anything. Who's the Batman? No, stop stretching it. Put in Zack Snyder's Batman. I don't like that interpretation for that reason. Yeah, I don't like that interpretation of Batman for that exact reason, because it just kind of like throws away one of the core pillars of the character for like for no discernible reason too. Like for no discernible reason besides just being edgy. So like, I don't know. Yeah, like the powers of Predator would be super cool. Like if they pulled it off right and like in a way that actually like well represents the character, like Predator would be sick to have in the game. Very, very sick to have in the game, but you know, that's, you know, up to how they pull it off.